Let's face it, helping others is often hailed as the hallmark of kindness and virtue. But here's the dirty little secret no one tells you. Not everyone deserves your help. Some people are bottomless pits of need, draining your energy, time, and resources while offering nothing in return but more problems. You know the type. They don't want solutions. They want attention. They don't want growth. They want your effort. The worst part, they'll take and take until you're left running on empty. Now, before you clutch your pearls and cry, "But isn't helping others the right thing to do?" Hear me out. Stoicism, a philosophy built on rationality and purpose, teaches us to help with wisdom, not recklessness. Your time and energy are finite resources, and spending them on the wrong people isn't noble. It's foolish. Helping someone who refuses to help themselves isn't generosity. It's enabling. And enabling someone's bad habits, well, that's practically a sin in the Stoic handbook. So, here's the question. How do you know when to stop helping? How do you draw the line between genuine support and wasted effort? That's what we're diving into today. In this guide, we'll uncover 10 types of people you should stop helping immediately, all through the lens of Stoic wisdom. From drama magnets to manipulators, we'll show you how to set boundaries without guilt and redirect your energy to where it truly matters. If you're ready to reclaim your energy and take control of your life, hit that like button, share this message, and let's dive in. Because here's the truth, helping others is noble, but helping with wisdom, that's power. Number 1. The Perpetual Victim. The Perpetual Victim. The person who wears misfortune like a badge of honor and sees life as a conspiracy against them. You know the type. Everything is someone else's fault. Their boss is out to get them. Their landlord raised the rent for no reason. And don't even get them started on their love life. It's a Shakespearean tragedy in 5 acts. Let me tell you about a guy I knew. Let's call him Mike. Mike was the king of bad luck, or so he claimed. Every time we met, he had a new sob story. His car broke down because the mechanics were incompetent. His credit card debt was spiraling. But of course, that was the bank's fault for offering such high limits. And his relationships. According to him, every woman he dated turned out to be a psycho. One day, I decided to help. I suggested he create a budget to get his finances under control. He nodded enthusiastically, but when I checked in a week later, he hadn't even started. Instead, he was ranting about how the economy was stacked against him. I realized something important. Mike didn't want solutions. He wanted sympathy. Someone to validate his belief that the world was out to get him. Here's the Stoic truth. You can't save someone who refuses to see their role in their struggles. Offering help to a perpetual victim only reinforces their belief that someone else is responsible for their life. It's like trying to fill a leaky bucket. You'll keep pouring, but it'll never hold. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That wisdom applies here. Instead of exhausting yourself trying to rescue someone who thrives on their misery, focus on helping people who are ready to take accountability and make changes. Actionable tip. The next time someone like Mike starts complaining, try this. Instead of diving into problem-solving mode, ask them, "What's your plan to address this?" If they brush it off or shift the blame, you've got your answer. They're not ready to be helped. And that's your cue to step back and protect your energy. Number 2. The Constantly Dependent. Picture this. You have a friend who seems to call you every week with a new emergency. One day, they need help paying rent because they overspent on concert tickets. The next week, they're asking for advice on how to deal with their boss. Again, they're always in a bind, always needing a favor, and you're always there to save the day. At first, it feels good to be the hero. But over time, you start noticing a pattern. They never take responsibility, never make changes, and somehow, they're always back at square one. This is the essence of constant dependence. They lean on you not because they can't figure things out, but because they've learned it's easier to rely on someone else than to face their challenges. Every time you step in to help, you're not just solving their problem. You're reinforcing their belief that they don't need to stand on their own. Think of it like this. Imagine teaching someone to ride a bike. If you keep holding on to the back of the seat, they'll never learn to balance. At some point, you have to let go, even if they wobble and fall. Stoicism teaches us that true help empowers people to grow, not to cling. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Constant dependency keeps people from beginning to live fully. It traps them in a cycle of reliance. Let me tell you about a colleague I knew, Mark. Mark had a knack for asking others to lend a hand with his projects at work. It started small, help with formatting a report or reviewing a presentation. But soon, his team noticed he wasn't learning anything new or improving his skills. Why would he, when someone else was always there to pick up the slack? Eventually, people stopped helping, and Mark had to face the reality. He'd spent so much time depending on others that he didn't know how to stand on his own. Actionable tip: when someone constantly turns to you for help, pause and ask yourself, am I solving their problem, or am I preventing them from solving it themselves? Instead of jumping in, guide them toward taking their steps. For example, if a friend asks for financial help, suggest they create a budget or take a financial literacy course. Empowering someone may feel less satisfying at the moment than rescuing them, but it's the only way they'll learn to ride without training wheels. And remember, you're not abandoning them, you're giving them the gift of independence. Number 3. The drama magnet. The drama magnet, the person whose life seems to be one unending soap opera. Their day isn't complete without a crisis, a conflict, or a whirlwind of emotions, and guess what? They need you to be part of it. Whether it's a work feud, a friend betrayal, or a relationship implosion, they'll pull you into their storm with the urgency of a siren call. Helping a drama magnet feels like trying to put out a fire, but what you don't realize is that they're the ones lighting the matches. Their chaos isn't accidental, it's how they thrive. Offering your help doesn't calm their storm, it feeds their addiction to turmoil. Let me paint a picture for you. I once had a coworker, Lisa, who could find drama in the most mundane situations. If the boss scheduled a team meeting, Lisa would immediately assume it was to reprimand her. If someone brought donuts to the office and forgot to ask her preference, it became a personal slight. Every lunchtime conversation revolved around her latest disaster, an argument with a friend, a parking ticket, or her neighbor's dog barking too loudly. At first, everyone tried to comfort her, offer solutions, or sympathize. But it didn't take long to realize that Lisa wasn't looking for solutions. She was looking for an audience. Here's the Stoic truth: helping a drama magnet doesn't solve their problems, because they're not trying to solve anything. They're fueling their need for attention and chaos. Marcus Aurelius wisely advised, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Drama magnets live the opposite way. They let external events control their emotions and demand that you join their frenzy. What's the solution? Boundaries. The next time a drama magnet tries to drag you into their latest saga, respond calmly but firmly. Say something like, "I'm sorry you're going through this, but I'm not in a position to get involved right now." Notice what you're not doing, offering solutions or diving into the drama. The moment you disengage, their chaos starts losing its grip on you. Actionable tip: protect your peace by recognizing the difference between someone in genuine need and a drama magnet. Genuine need feels grounded and specific. "Can you help me review this document?" Or, "I'm struggling with a tough decision." Drama magnets, on the other hand, thrive on vague catastrophes and emotional overload. When you spot the signs, take a step back. Remember, your time and energy are precious, and feeding someone's addiction to turmoil isn't noble. It's self-destructive. Number 4. The manipulator. The manipulator, the person who weaves their web of deceit, using guilt, flattery, or cunning to extract your help, even when they don't truly need it. These are the masters of emotional chess, always 2 steps ahead, calculating how to make you their pawn. Helping them isn't assistance, it's enabling their ability to control others. Let me take you to a scene straight out of myth. Imagine Odysseus, clever and strategic, trying to outwit the sirens. The siren songs weren't just melodies. They were carefully crafted traps, luring sailors to their doom. The manipulator is no different. They'll sing just the right tune to make you feel obligated, special, or irreplaceable. And like the sailors, if you're not prepared, you'll crash straight into their rocks. In real life, manipulation comes in many forms. Take Sarah, a friend of mine. Sarah had a knack for sweet-talking people into doing her work. "You're so good at this," she'd say with a dazzling smile. "It would take me forever. Can you handle it?" Flattered and eager to help, her friends would jump in, not realizing that Sarah was perfectly capable but simply unwilling. When flattery didn't work, she'd switch gears. "I thought I could count on you, but maybe I was wrong," accompanied by a sigh and a downcast look. And just like that, she'd reel them back in. Here's the Stoic wisdom. Manipulators thrive on the gaps in your self-awareness. Marcus Aurelius taught, "The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane." When you give in to manipulation, you let someone else dictate your path, steering you away from fairness, honesty, and self-respect. So how do you escape their web? First, learn to recognize the patterns. Manipulators often deploy guilt trips, excessive praise, or subtle threats to get what they want. When Sarah said, "You're the only one I trust with this," it wasn't a compliment, it was a trap. Once you spot the manipulation, set clear boundaries. For example, if someone asks for a favor they can handle themselves, respond with, "I know you're capable of figuring this out. I'm confident you'll do great." If they push back with guilt or flattery, remain firm but polite. "I appreciate your trust, but I have my priorities to focus on." The key is to stay calm and resist the emotional bait. Manipulators thrive on reaction, so the less you give, the less power they hold. Actionable tip: practice saying no without over-explaining or apologizing. Manipulators look for cracks in your armor, hesitation, guilt, or a need to justify yourself. Instead, be direct and neutral. For example, "No, I can't do that," or "That's not something I can help with right now." The more you practice, the stronger your boundaries will become, and soon, manipulators will realize you're not an easy target. Remember, helping someone should be an act of mutual respect, not a response to deceit or coercion. When you value honesty and fairness, you empower yourself to step away from manipulation and focus on those who genuinely deserve your help. Number 5. The Negative Cynic. Let's delve into the world of the Negative Cynic, a person who has the uncanny ability to suck the joy out of even the most promising situations. No matter what you propose, they'll find a reason it won't work, shouldn't work, or simply isn't worth the effort. Helping them is like trying to plant a flower in the middle of a desert. No matter how much care and water you pour in, the ground is too barren to support growth. Imagine a sculptor staring at a block of marble, envisioning a masterpiece. The cynic. They're the voice in the background muttering, "Why bother? It'll probably crack. Even if it doesn't, no one's going to appreciate it." Stoicism teaches us that life is about action and progress, not succumbing to negativity. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. The cynic, however, isn't an obstacle to overcome. They're a pit that will drag you down if you linger too long. Take my old classmate, Eric, as an example. Eric had big dreams, or so he claimed. Every conversation with him revolved around his grand ideas for starting a business or traveling the world. But every time someone offered practical advice, his response was the same: "That'll never work because," or, "even if I try, something will go wrong." His excuses were endless, his negativity infectious. After a while, people stopped offering help because they knew it was a dead-end conversation. Eric wasn't looking for solutions. He was looking for validation that failure was inevitable. Helping a negative cynic doesn't lift them. It drags you down. Their worldview is a fog of pessimism that clouds your perspective, making you question your optimism and drive. And let's be honest, there's enough negativity in the world without inviting it into your sphere. So what can you do? The first step is recognizing that you can't fix someone's mindset if they're not willing to change it themselves. When a cynic dismisses your suggestions with their usual, "That won't work," respond with calm detachment. "I hear you, but I choose to focus on solutions." This subtly sets a boundary without diving into their negativity. The second step is limiting your exposure. If you can't avoid the cynic entirely, make sure their negativity doesn't take root in your mind. Treat their words like water on a duck's back. Let them roll off. Actionable tip: practice neutrality when engaging with a cynic. Instead of trying to convince them or letting their negativity frustrate you, say, "That's an interesting perspective," and move on. This shifts the focus away from their pessimism and protects your emotional energy. Remember, life is too short to spend it convincing someone to see the light when they're determined to sit in the dark. Focus your energy on those who are ready to grow, and let the cynics find their way, if they ever choose to. Number 6. The addict unwilling to change. Some people dig their holes, then look up and demand you hand them a ladder. The addict unwilling to change is a master at this. They're stuck in a cycle of destructive behavior, financial recklessness, substance abuse, toxic relationships, and instead of climbing out, they shout for help while holding a shovel and digging deeper. Helping them, when they're not ready to change, is like throwing a rope into a black hole. You won't get them out, and you might get sucked in yourself. Picture this. Your friend Jack has a habit of blowing his paycheck on wild weekends, and comes to you Monday morning, broke and desperate. "Can you lend me just $200? I'll pay you back next week, I swear." You help him once, then twice. By the third time, you start noticing a pattern. The promises to change, the guilt-laden pleas, they're all theater. Jack doesn't want help. He wants a safety net for his bad decisions. Stoicism teaches us the importance of agency, control over our actions, and accountability for our lives. Marcus Aurelius said, "A man must stand erect, not be kept erect by others." Jack, and people like him, want you to keep them upright without ever learning to stand on their own. But here's the tough part. Refusing to help can feel harsh, especially when someone's struggle seems so visible. You might think, if I just helped him this one time, maybe he'll get back on track. That's the manipulative brilliance of the addict unwilling to change. They sell you on hope, not reality. But hope doesn't fix patterns, and enabling them only delays the inevitable reckoning they need to face. So how do you respond? First, set firm boundaries. Instead of handing over the $200, offer Jack advice or resources that can lead to real change. Say, "I can't lend you money, but I can help you find a budgeting tool or financial counselor." If he's serious about change, he'll take the help. If not, you've done your part without fueling the cycle. Actionable tip: when someone unwilling to change asks for help, shift the responsibility back to them. For instance, say, "What's your plan to address this long term?" Or, How will this decision move you toward fixing the root problem? Questions like these force them to confront their role in their struggles. At the end of the day, remember this: you're not the villain for stepping away. The addict unwilling to change doesn't need your rescue. They need their wake-up call. And sometimes, the best way to help is to let them find it on their own. Number 7. The chronic excuse maker. There exists a type of person who lives their life as if they're trapped in a labyrinth, blaming the walls for their inability to escape while refusing to take a single step forward. These are the chronic excuse makers, the masters of deflection, eternally at war with invisible forces that, conveniently, absolve them of all responsibility. Helping an excuse maker is like trying to row a boat with someone who insists the current is too strong, while sitting idle with their paddle in their lap. Their excuses are their armor, shielding them from accountability and the discomfort of effort. They'll tell you it's the system, the timing, the alignment of the stars, anything but their inaction. Stoicism teaches us that external factors are often beyond our control, but our response to them is always within our power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The excuse maker, however, flips this wisdom upside down, believing their mind is powerless while outside events rule their destiny. Imagine offering guidance to such a person. You lay out a clear, actionable path, a golden thread to lead them out of their labyrinth. But instead of taking it, they list every reason it won't work. The thread's too thin, they say. The path is too long. The light's too dim. And so, they remain, spinning in circles, lamenting their fate, and pulling you into their maze if you let them. The epic truth is this: helping excuse makers doesn't liberate them, it tightens their chains. Every time you validate their excuses, you reinforce their belief that the world is their captor, and they are powerless to break free. So what should you do? Offer the thread, but leave the unraveling to them. Say, "Here's a solution if you're ready to act," and step back. Their response will tell you everything. If they grasp the thread, you've done your part. If they continue to spin tales of why it won't work, let them stay in their labyrinth. You were never meant to carry them out on your back. Actionable tip: when faced with an excuse maker, resist the urge to argue or convince. Instead, mirror their words back to them with calm detachment. "You've mentioned this obstacle before. What's your plan to overcome it?" If they have none, it's a sign they're not ready to take responsibility, and that's your cue to walk away with your energy intact. After all, the gods of myth helped only those who dared to act. Athena didn't steer Odysseus' ship. She gave him the wisdom to navigate it himself. Be like Athena, offer guidance, but let the journey belong to them. Number 8. The Boundary Violator. In every epic tale, there exists a character who cannot comprehend the sacred lines drawn by others. The Boundary Violator is that character, someone who sees your carefully crafted limits not as walls to respect but as obstacles to push, bend, or break. They press, prod, and persist until your peace is in tatters. And worse yet, they act as though you're the unreasonable one for trying to protect it. Helping a boundary violator is akin to inviting a storm into your sanctuary. They take, and take, and take, time, energy, resources, without pause or consideration. They will barge into your space like an uninvited guest, demanding what they need while ignoring what it costs you. Their mantra is, "If I push hard enough, they'll give in." And too often, they're right. But Stoicism teaches us that our peace is a treasure worth guarding. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." A boundary violator seeks to breach that power, to plant chaos where calm should reign. To help them without limits is not an act of kindness, it's an act of self-sabotage. Think of yourself as a fortress. A fortress doesn't exist to shut the world out, It exists to protect what's within. The gate doesn't swing open for anyone who bangs on it loud enough. It opens only for those who respect its purpose. A boundary violator will rattle the gate incessantly, hoping to wear down your defenses, but a true guardian doesn't yield to noise. The epic way to handle a boundary violator is simple. Stand firm. When they push past your limits, calmly remind them of the line. For instance, say, "I can't help you with this right now, but I hope you can find another solution." Do not explain, justify, or argue. It only fuels their persistence. Your boundary isn't a negotiation, it's a declaration. Actionable tip: practice the art of "no" as a full sentence. If the boundary violator persists, repeat your stance with unwavering calm. As I said before, "I can't help with this." Like a fortress that doesn't crumble under siege, your consistency will teach them that your limits are not up for debate. Remember this: boundaries are not barriers to kindness, they are allies. By protecting your peace, you create a space where your energy can flow to those who truly value it. Helping a boundary violator at the expense of yourself doesn't make you generous. It makes you a martyr for someone who won't even notice the sacrifice. Be the fortress, strong and steady, and let the storm rage on the outside. Number 9. The entitled. The entitled, the ultimate connoisseurs of "give me" culture. They're not here to ask for your help. They're here to claim it as if it's been carved into some cosmic decree. In their world, your time, money, and energy aren't gifts, they're dues. And woe to you if you dare suggest otherwise. What do you mean you won't help? Isn't that what friends/family/good people do? Ah yes, the guilt-laden symphony of entitlement begins. Picture this: your cousin Greg swings by unannounced, plops on your couch, and casually mentions that his car broke down again. "You've got that nice new SUV," he says with a smirk. "Why don't you lend it to me for a few weeks?" When you hesitate, Greg throws in the clincher: "You've got a good job. It's not like you need it every day." Suddenly, you're not just considering lending your car, you're defending your right to use it yourself. Classic Greg. Stoicism has no patience for this kind of nonsense. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You must consider the dignity of what you're doing." Giving into entitlement lacks dignity, because it strips the act of its value. Generosity, when demanded, turns sour. What could have been a kind gesture becomes an obligation, breeding resentment in you and reinforcing their belief that the world owes them everything. Here's the thing about entitlement: it's the enemy of gratitude. The entitled person doesn't thank you for helping, they scoff if you don't. Helping them doesn't bring fulfillment, it brings exhaustion. It's like filling a cup with no bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it will never be enough. How do you deal with the Gregs of the world? First, recognize that entitlement feeds on compliance. When you consistently say, "yes," it confirms their worldview. The antidote is a firm, unapologetic "no." No need for drama or drawn-out explanations. Simply say, "I'm not able to do that," and leave it at that. The beauty of entitlement is that the person already thinks you're in the wrong. So why waste time trying to convince them otherwise? Actionable tip: for every entitled request, ask yourself, would I feel good about doing this, or would I feel used? If it's the latter, set your boundary and stick to it. For example, if Greg insists on borrowing your car, you could say, "I'm sorry, I don't lend my vehicle out, but I can recommend a rental service." The more you stand firm, the less appealing you'll become as a target for their entitled demands. Remember, helping someone should be a gift freely given, not a tax levied by their inflated sense of importance. When you stop enabling entitlement, you free yourself to help those who appreciate it. And Greg? He can call an Uber. Number 10. The chronic comparer. Enter the chronic comparer, the person who measures their worth, and often yours, by the yardstick of everyone else's successes. If they're struggling, it's because someone else had an unfair advantage. If you're thriving, it's because you somehow had it easier. Their favorite pastime isn't self-improvement, it's self-pity, spiced up with a dash of indie. Helping them feels less like a favor and more like stepping onto an emotional treadmill that goes nowhere. Let's set the stage. Imagine you just landed a promotion at work. You're proud, excited, and maybe even a little surprised at your achievement. Enter the chronic comparer. Must be nice, they mutter. Some of us don't have bosses who notice our hard work. Suddenly, your accomplishment is soured, your joy dimmed, and you're left awkwardly trying to justify why you deserve what you've earned. They don't want advice or inspiration. They want a piece of your glory, or at least an excuse to resent it. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our journey, not on external validations or the endless comparisons of others. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The chronic comparer, however, doesn't want wealth of mind. They want what everyone else has, and they want you to make it happen for them. Helping them doesn't bring clarity. It feeds their belief that the world owes them more than they've earned. So how do you handle this? First, recognize that comparison is their chosen sport, and you're under no obligation to compete. If they belittle your achievements or twist your help into a symbol of their perceived inadequacy, disengage. Offer polite encouragement, but avoid being drawn into their narrative of unfairness. For instance, when they say, "It's easy for you, you've always had luck on your side," respond with calm neutrality. Everyone's path is different. I've worked hard for mine, and I know you're capable of the same. Notice you're not defending yourself or jumping to help. You're refusing to play the comparison game. Actionable tip: when dealing with chronic comparers, redirect the focus back to them, constructively. Ask, what steps are you taking to move closer to what you want? If they dodge the question with more comparisons, gently but firmly bow out of the conversation. Your energy is better spent on people who use inspiration as fuel, not as a lens to scrutinize their shortcomings. Helping a chronic comparer doesn't inspire gratitude or growth. It reinforces their cycle of envy and dissatisfaction. Let them wrestle with their reflections while you focus on cultivating your garden. After all, the view is much better when you're looking ahead, not sideways. Conclusion: life is too short, and your energy too precious to waste on those who refuse to value it. The wisdom of Stoicism teaches us that helping others is a noble act, but not when it comes at the cost of your peace, integrity, or progress. To give without discernment is not kindness, it's chaos. It's feeding a fire that only burns you in the end. Think of your time and energy as sacred rivers, flowing toward meaningful goals and deserving people. These 10 types of individuals, the perpetual victim, the entitled, the manipulator, and their ilk, are dams blocking your flow. They drain you, frustrate you, and leave you wondering why you're always running on empty. But here's the truth: you don't owe your energy to everyone who demands it. Your kindness is not a currency to be spent indiscriminately. It's a gift, and gifts should go to those who appreciate and use them wisely. So how do you move forward? You set boundaries. You say no without apology. You help those who want to grow, not those who cling to excuses, drama, or entitlement. And most importantly, you reclaim your focus and direct it where it matters, on your goals, your growth, and the people who truly enrich your life. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Surround yourself with those who bring clarity, purpose, and light into your life, and let the rest fall away. You're not here to fix those who refuse to be fixed. You're here to live with strength, wisdom, and intention. And when you do, you inspire others to rise, not by carrying them, but by showing them what's possible when you stand tall. Now it's your turn. Take this wisdom and apply it. Start protecting your peace today. And here's the call to action. If this message resonated with you, hit that like button, share this wisdom, and subscribe for more insights. Let's spread the power of intentional living, because when you live with clarity and strength, you not only transform your life, you inspire others to do the same. Let's rise together.